Attorney General Patrick Morrissey sitting down with us today. You're locked in what has been a contentious race with Doug Reynolds. Talk about how this race has affected you and affected your office.
Well, I think that the tenor of this race has not been ideal. And I know that while I've worked hard, people can look at my ads and know that I'm factual in terms of what I say. We're dealing with probably one of the biggest con artists that we've ever seen in West Virginia running for office. He is putting out these ads that everyone acknowledges are big lies, making statements about Attorney General being under investigation, no such thing, or he's saying things that are easily disproven. But he has a lot of money behind it, and it's really disturbing that he thinks he can get away with it. And he's gained a little bit in the polls. We're still leading. I think we're going to win on Election Day, but I'm hopeful that the West Virginia voters focus on my 4-year record of accomplishment. We took on the EPA, and we won. We went all the way up to the U.S. Supreme Court, defeated President Obama's EPA in a historic decision, saving thousands of West Virginia jobs. We initiated the substance abuse function within the Attorney General's office. That never happened before within the office. We took it on. We've had $38 million in drug and drug-related settlement money, and our best practices initiative is designed to reduce opiate use 25 to 35%. Education, we're doing an enormous amount in that area. We've done more in substance abuse than probably any other state official. So when I hear that my opponent is criticizing me on that, it rings hollow, because he's done nothing, and he represented Huntington, the epicenter of the drug crisis in West Virginia. Not one bill became law when he was a delegate relating to substance abuse. Not one. That's not the record that you're looking for when you're trying to be promoted to Attorney General. So I think there's a good contrast in this race. I've taken on the EPA, federal overreach. He's a big ally of Hillary Clinton, maximum donation to her campaign. He's donated to Barack Obama. I'm a conservative, strong, taking on federal overreach, fighting substance abuse, and I voluntarily returned over $34 million back to the state's general fund. I hope voters can look beyond some of the nonsense 30-second sound bites that are out there and look at the record.
We obviously know about the struggles with the drug epidemic that West Virginia has, that our state has. And one of the ways that your opponent has really gone after you is by trying to tie you to Big Pharma. And that's come with attacks on your wife and the positions that she's held or holds. And there's been discussions about positions that you've held or hold in the past that obviously are connected to pharmaceutical companies. How can you assure voters that you in no way, shape, or form are fighting with or quietly on the same team as big pharmaceutical companies?
I think people should look at the record, and first of all, for people to try to drag someone's family member, my wife, into this, I think that's despicable. It's the lowest form of politics, and I hope voters reject that kind of absolute display of disgust. With respect to substance abuse, we've taken on Big Pharma. If you look at $38 million worth of settlements, if you look at the fact that our best practices initiative will cut opiate use, these prescription pills, 25 to 35%, the support we're getting from the licensing boards, law enforcement, the medical community, they know that our proposal is very robust, and we've been doing it for years. They can't point to one single thing that we've done other than the right thing. And so I think that he's trying to smear me, and I don't think it's going to be successful, because people will look past that. They'll know that I have a good record and that I've been more aggressive than anyone. Ask yourself this question. What do you really know about Doug Reynolds other than the negative commercials that have gone through? You know a lot about the work we've done, because I've been up here, up in Wheeling. I've spent a lot of time in the Northern Panhandle over the last 4 years. We've been more aggressive than he possibly could be. He even criticized when the governor settled cases. He said he would take them to trial, and he said that he would do it different. He'd be barred under the law from doing it different, because the attorney has to follow the governor when it's one of the state agency clients. I think that level of naivete or trying to pull something over the voters' eyes, that's not appropriate. This is a position of trust, and we can't have someone who's really violated the trust in so many ways.
Why is there such a big focus on this race for West Virginia when we have plenty of other races that could easily generate just as much or more interest when you look at it on paper, but yet this race seems to be the most contentious right now and the one that everybody seems to be talking about. How does that happen? Does that strike you as odd?
Well, I think what happened here is we took on Barack Obama and we took on the liberals. We cleaned up the Friends and Family Plan in Charleston. Doug Reynolds was recruited by all the liberals to run because they knew that he had an inherited fortune from his family. So they put the most liberal person who they could control in that position to run. And that's why this race has gotten, to such a terrible state. When you take on President Obama's top initiatives, there are going to be consequences when you beat him, time after time after time. Doug Reynolds represents the liberals who have not been able to succeed in the courts. Now he's trying to come back through these political ads and be viable. I don't think it's going to work, but this is really a reflection. It's of the fact that we've been so aggressive cleaning up what happened in Charleston, going after federal overreach. They don't like that we're changing things for the better, that we've acted with ethics in office. They're trying to push the radical left agenda, and that's why they want their puppet, Doug Reynolds, in place.
You've reached a settlement with 5 companies that will bring $4 million back to West Virginia. How will you continue to attack pharmaceutical companies and those that wish to push opioids on citizens who then over time could turn to things like heroin?
Well, I think that we have to do everything imaginable to stop this plague on our society, and I've been very aggressive. I go after anyone who breaks our laws, without exception. Who went after Milan, the first attorney general in the country? That was me. Who went after Volkswagen, the first attorney general in the country? That was me. I sued McKesson, one of the largest healthcare companies in the country. Our office goes after companies when there's evidence of wrongdoing. Now, we look at the evidence and then we make a decision. We do not hesitate to pull the trigger. On substance abuse, we have to go after everyone that should be accountable under our laws. But that means looking at the entirety of the pharmaceutical supply chain so that we solve this problem. We're going to solve this problem by analyzing it and acting holistically, attacking it from a supply, a demand, and an educational perspective. It's not just about taking people to trial. What it's about is looking at all facets of it, because everyone knows the faces of substance abuse, and this is more than just suing people. It's about educating people, it's about providing treatment, and it's about finally and dramatically reducing that opiate use and going after the heroin problem.
Last question, and try to answer this maybe as simply as you can. The biggest difference between you and your opponent is what?
I think that my opponent is a radical liberal. He will allow your gun rights to wither away. He's a strong advocate of Hillary Clinton, gave the maximum contribution to her campaign, and he would support abortion up until birth. Those are pretty radical policies. I have a conservative record. I'm strongly opposed to Hillary Clinton. I will protect your gun rights, and I've protected jobs over the last 4 years. We have a record of running a high-quality, ethical, efficient office. We've gone after federal overreach. We created the substance abuse function and have done more than almost anyone in the state, and we look out for taxpayers. Big difference between a radical liberal and one with a proven conservative record.
Attorney General Patrick Morrissey, thank you so much for sitting down with us today.
Thank you very much.
Best of luck on Election Day.
Appreciate it.
Absolutely.